What does it mean to have passion? As I'm getting older, and especially in the last year of my life, that question has reappeared in my mind over and over again. It's been on my mind more than ever as I see people complain about being too old or too young, feeling like they've wasted their lives and are envious of others for doing things that they weren't able to do. As someone that got introduced to K-pop in mid 2019, but not truly invested until the summer of 2020, I've seen so many idols. And one similarity between all of these idols is the lack of genuine passion amongst them. Plentiful idols appear as though they are just in it to pay their bills, as reflected in the lack of stage presence and the lack of improvement, even amongst idols that have been in the industry for decades. However, there was one idol in the static industry who was the true definition of passionate. Someone who didn't do something because they had to or just to get it done, but because they genuinely loved and adored it. And that is Kim Jong-un. Born Kim Jong-un on April 8, 1990 in Seoul, South Korea, Jong-un was a singer-songwriter cited as being one of the best vocalists of his generation and in K-pop. In 2005, Jong-un was scouted by SM Entertainment after playing with his high school band. 3 years later, in 2008 at age 18, Jonghyun debuted as a member of the South Korean boy group SHINee, becoming their main vocalist. SHINee went on to be one of the most iconic K-pop boy groups of all time, whose iconic tracks include Replay, Ring Ding Dong, Sherlock, Lucifer, and View. SHINee is constantly recognized for having a diverse discography and inspiring many idols to debut as well. In comparison to his contemporaries, Jonghyun was extremely passionate about music even before debuting. Jungkook was inspired by many R&B singers, most notably Maxwell, who he cited as being a fan of since he was young, and was the inspiration for his later tracks on his solo albums that included R&B and neo soul. On January 12, 2015, after being an active member of SHINee for 7 years, Junghyun released his debut mini-album Base along with the two lead singles Deja Vu featuring rapper Zion T and Crazy Guilty Pleasure featuring rapper Iron. Deja Vu is an R&B song that incorporates 60s funk, and the composition of Crazy takes its influence from boom bap, a subgenre of hip-hop that features hard-hitting bass and snare drums. Bass isn't an awful debut, but not a highly enjoyable one either, and definitely doesn't hold a candle to his later releases. However, this album acts as a base for what Jungkook's discography will offer later on, as in this album he plants the seeds of R&B and sensuality that will later become key parts of his discography down the line. 손을 뻗어줘 내 목을 감싸줘 좀 더 아래 내 어깨를 주물러줘. On September 17, 2015, Junghyun followed up his debut with Story OP1, a compilation album. The composition of this album is a pretty interesting one, as all of these songs were released prior on Junghyun's Blue Night radio show, a radio show Junghyun began hosting on February 3, 2014. As a way to connect with his audience, Junghyun encouraged his viewers to send in their personal stories, and he would make a song based off the viewers' submissions. From an objective standpoint, Story OP1 is Junghyun's best work. This album showcases his lyricism and storytelling abilities at its best, and him taking the experiences of others and using them to create great songs is nothing short of impressive. Originally broadcasted on July 11, 2014, You and I is a smooth jazz song. This song is about the relationship Junghyun has between him and the viewers of his Blue Night show. You and I, oh 너와 난 떨어질 수 없어. You and I, 나 항상 너의 얘기를 기다리고 있어. 나 많이 지쳤어, 또 많이 힘들어. 한숨 한 번 쉬기 힘든 날이야. 넌 오늘 어땠어? 웃는 모습 기분 좋아 보여. 보기 좋아, 내게 들려줄래? Compared to the other songs on this album, this song is told from Junghyun's perspective. You and I reflects what Blue Night meant to Junghyun and his listeners, as each side was able to be comforted and receive comfort. For the people that spent their nights alone, for the people that felt insignificant, Blue Night was a shoulder to lean on. The next song, I'm Sorry, is a ballad, originally broadcasted on July 10, 2014. This song is based on a story submitted by a woman who had difficulty responding to an email sent to her by her ex-boyfriend. 내겐 대체 어땠던 기억들이 남아있는지 정말 내가 그리 너에게 무심했던 건지 묻고 싶어 알고 싶어 정말 나만 좋은 추억으로 남았는지
항상 혼자인 기분이야 내게 말했던 그 얘기들 그저 투정이라 믿었었어 난 항상 나와 같은 마음이라 믿었어 너와 같은 길을 걷고 너와 같은 마음을 하고 내 착각 속에 내 머릿속에 행복한 네 모습은
The lyrics of I'm Sorry is one of regretfulness and uncertainty. This person has regrets of not treating their former significant other better and overlooking their feelings. The speaker deals with uncertainty as of not knowing if their partner was happy during their relationship. Jeongyeon's vocal delivery portrays the cold sadness of the song extremely well. A part of me always feels sad when I listen to this song. So how could I not talk about Story OP1 without discussing End of a Day, the lead single off this album? End of a Day was originally broadcasted on November 10, 2014. This song is based on Jeongyeon's dog Boru and how she would comfort and greet him every time he came home from work.
남들보다 늦게 문을 닫는 나의 하루에 장난스럽게 귓볼을 간지럽히며 하루 종일 다른 세상에 있었어도 우린 항상 하루 끝은 함께 하니까 너의 그 작은 어깨가 너의 그 작은 두 손이 지친 내 하루 끝 포근한 이불이 되고 수고했어요 정말 고생했어요 내게도 내 어깨가 뭉툭한 나의 두 손이 지친 너의 하루 끝 포근한 위로가 되기를 자연스레 나와 숨을 맞추고파
Although the lyrics of the song induce warm comfort, listening to the song has an aura of sadness. In the first verse, Jeongyeon's imagery sets the scene of a person coming home and being embraced by a loved one. Even though they spent the day leading two different lives, they can finally end their night together.
맘껏 울 수도 또 맘껏 웃을 수도 없는 지친 하루의 끝 그래도 그대 옆이면 어린아이처럼 징얼대다 숨 넘어가듯 보다 나도 어색해진 나를 만나줘
These first two lines in the bridge, I can't cry all I want or even laugh all I want, signifies how restrictive an idol's workday can be. When spent in front of the camera, there's always a part of himself he has to omit. But when Jeongyeon comes home to be with his dog Rue, he can be himself without limitations.
수고했어요. 정말 고생했어요. 그땐 나의 자랑이죠. 자그마한 눈 너의 눈빛에 좀 진한 눈썹 나는 그런 게 좋아.
On May 24th, 2016, Jeongyeon released his first studio album titled She Is with the title track of the same name. Subjectively, She Is Jeongyeon's best album and is one of my favorite K-pop albums of all time, along with SHINee's The Shiny World. Even after almost 4 years since I first listened to this album, I still absolutely adore this album. She Is contains 9 songs, 8 of which were written and produced by Jeongyeon himself. During these 9 songs, Jeongyeon tells a love story between him and a girl. At the beginning of the album, he meets and begins falling for this girl, and at the end of the album, he gets married to the woman referenced. She Is a simple pop song with light synths and funk elements throughout. Being the first song on this album, She Is where Jeongyeon meets the girl and begins to have feelings for her.
Time 너의 입술이 좋아 나는 그런 게 좋아 나는 그런 게 좋아
Jungin opens the song by complimenting his future partner on her insecurities, such as her small eyes, which is a feature seen as unattractive as far as Korean beauty standards go. She Is, as a title track, doesn't try to be revolutionary and instead serves as an easy listen and introduction to the album and story. Next is White T-Shirt, a K-pop song and the only song on this album not written or composed by Jungin himself. White T-Shirt is one of my favorite K-pop songs of all time and contains one of my favorite post-choruses of all time. In this song, Jungin tells his love interest that no matter how simple she looks, she's still beautiful.
꾸미지 않은 게 더 특별해 상상을 자극하는 실루엣 적당히 불어헤친 듯한 hair 왠지 더 튀는 랩샵 It's your white t-shirt It's just white t-shirt It's your white t-shirt It's just white t-shirt
Moon, produced by LDN Noise, is an electronic R&B song similar to the likes of Pillow Talk by Zayn Malik. The lyrics of Moon suggest that at this point in the album, Jungin and the girl he has been falling for are finally in the beginning stages of their relationship. Compared to the bright and affectionate tone of White T-Shirt and She Is, which indicated the character falling in love, in Moon, however, Jungin expresses his NSFW thoughts towards his partner. Aurora is a neo-soul song, a genre that combines characteristics of soul and contemporary R&B. A key attribute to this song that makes it my top 3 on this album is Jungin's beautiful, light, and airy falsetto. Aurora continues the subjectiveness introduced in Moon, and in Aurora, Jungin spends the song comparing his lover to the Aurora Borealis. In the lines, like a colorful curtain fluttering and you're a light in this noisy world, Jungin uses both imagery and simile to describe the way the northern lights move like a curtain and describes how his lover brings peace and beauty into his life. Suit Up is the final song on She Is and concludes the stages of this romantic relationship that Jungin has been taking us through during this album. After meeting, falling in love, and making this relationship official, Jungin and his partner have reached the final stage of this relationship by tying the knot.
1, 2 시선을 좀 밀어 넥타이 졸리네 이것 좀 풀어줘 너 갑자기 졸리네 눈이 뭐 감기네 너 좀 부축해줘 oh, 네 손, 네 팔도 막 스쳐 지나가 더 지나가
Although the album has been leading up to this moment, the lyrics suggest that his partner is still hesitant to reveal herself to him. But Jungin finally seeing his partner in her wedding dress leaves him stunned with how beautiful she is. On December 18, 2017, at only 27 years old, Jungin passed away after taking his own life. Jungin's death came as a major shock to fans and members of the industry alike. How could an idol as popular and beloved as Jungin have taken his own life at such a young age, not even reaching his 30s? Before his passing, Junghyun had finished his second studio album, Poet Artist, that was released a month after his death on January 23, 2018, which included the two singles Shinin' and Before Our Spring.
우린 봄이 오기 전에 따뜻하기 전에 한번 볼까요? 우린 날이 밝기 전에 모두 잠들었을 때 꼭 만나요. 사실은 난 널 바라보는 게 지켜보는 게 좋아. 가만히 웃는 널 바라보는 게 그냥 지켜보는 게 편해. 바보 같은 말이지만 네 앞에 나서는 게 두려워. 네가 널 이해 못한데도 괜찮아 괜찮아. 아직 봄이 오기까지는 꽤나 남아있으니까.
Ironically, in just 2 words, Junghyun's Poet Artist encapsulates how I feel about Junghyun perfectly, and how I'd like him to be remembered. Junghyun wasn't just an idol, and Junghyun wasn't just an idol that committed suicide. In the course of 9 years, Junghyun was a poet whose lyrics would bring comfort to others and transcend language itself. Junghyun was an artist whose passion for music affected in all areas of his life. His ability to improve in his lyricism and song production, despite everything that comes with being a busy idol in a fast-paced industry. I want those of you that have made it to this point in the video to appreciate the art, passion, and timelessness of Junghyun's work.
안녕하세요. 저는 중학교 3학년 김종현이고요. 저도 얼마 전에 계약을 해서 오늘 이렇게 오게 됐는데 처음 와서 많이 떨리는데요. 앞으로도 열심히 해서 꿈을 이룰 수 있도록 노력하겠습니다.